Discipline over drama. That's the move now. That's the mindset now. You don't need perfect days. You just need consistent ones. You don't need everything to feel good. You just need to do what's good for you over and over again. So when it hurts, show up. When it's slow, show up. When no one's watching, no one's clapping, and no one believes, you show up. Because this is what separates you from the rest. Not your talent, not your IQ, not your potential, but your discipline. The way you lock in when it's hard. The way you refuse to fold when it's not fun anymore. The way you keep doing it powerfully while they're looking for shortcuts. So let's get it. No more drama. No more excuses. No more mood swings. We choose discipline, and we do it every day like our life depends on it, because it does. Let's see. Under fire consistency builds confidence because it creates undeniable proof. Proof that you're capable. Proof that you can handle the process. Proof that you're not just a talker, you're a doer. Confidence doesn't come from hoping. It doesn't come from posting motivational quotes or getting hyped for a few hours. Confidence comes from doing the work over and over again. Every single time you show up, you deposit into the bank of belief. Every set, every rep, every late night when you didn't feel like it but did it anyway. That's evidence. And when you start stacking that evidence day after day, week after week, your self-belief becomes unshakable. You don't walk into the room wondering if you belong. You know you do. Not because someone told you, but because you've done the work in silence when nobody was clapping. Confidence is earned, and you earn it through consistency. It's not about how perfect you are, it's about how persistent you are. Most people quit before they ever feel what it's like to believe in themselves. They stop before the results show up. They give up right before their breakthrough moment. That shift where discipline becomes instinct. But if you can keep doing it, keep pushing, keep grinding, keep rising, even when nothing makes sense, you will cross over. You will transform. You'll stop questioning whether you're good enough because the work will answer that for you. You'll stop needing validation because you'll be too busy building your own. Consistency is what separates amateurs from professionals. See, anyone can go hard when they're motivated. Anyone can show up when the spotlight's on. But that don't mean nothing. What matters is who you are when it's just you and the grind. When there's no camera, no audience, just the work. That's where real confidence is forged. That's where the belief becomes part of your identity. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to psych yourself up. Because you've been in the trenches so long. It's who you are now. You want confidence? Show up on the days you don't feel like it. Hit your routine even when life's chaotic. Stick to your standards when no one's watching, when it's cold, when it's early, when you're tired, when you're discouraged. That's how you build confidence that doesn't shake. That's how you carry yourself like a winner then before you've got the trophy. Because confidence isn't about winning, it's about knowing you're the kind of person who will do what it takes. Every time. No exceptions, no excuses. You don't become powerful by accident. You become powerful through repetition, through discipline, through falling and getting back up again and again. You want to trust yourself? Then give yourself a reason to. Don't keep making promises you don't keep. Don't say you're going to start and then stop the second it gets hard. You want to feel proud? Then earn that pride. Earn it through sacrifice. Earn it through sweat. Earn it through keeping your word to yourself over and over again until your brain starts to believe it's possible because you've proven it. Confidence doesn't start big. It starts small. It starts with one decision, one commitment, one promise that you keep no matter how hard it gets. And then another, and then another. You don't have to move mountains overnight, but you do have to move. You do have to commit. You do have to keep doing it, no matter what. And when you do, the confidence starts to grow, slowly, quietly, but powerfully. Until one day, it's not a whisper anymore, it's a roar. It's unshakable, and it doesn't come from luck, it comes from reps. That's why you can't afford to take shortcuts. That's why skipping the work is not an option. Because every time you flake on the process, you rob yourself of the confidence you could have had. You think you're just taking a day off, but what you're really doing is telling your mind you're not serious. You're telling your goals they can wait. You're telling your dream that it's negotiable. And that kind of inconsistency destroys belief. But when you show up, even in the smallest ways, you tell yourself, I'm still in this. I'm still built for this. I'm not going anywhere. And that message, That's what builds real, lasting, bulletproof confidence. So if you want to walk into the world with your head high, with your chest out, with a mindset that says, I can handle anything, then you've got to earn it through the work. You've got to earn it in the gym. Earn it in your goals. Earn it in the dark hours of the morning when no one's texting you, no one's calling you, and it's just you versus your excuses. That's where the power is. That's where belief is born. Not in the hype, not in the applause, but in the grind. Over and over, every rep, every set, every session, it all adds up, and it never lies. Motion creates momentum because energy builds upon energy. The second you move, even if it's just a small step, the game changes. You shift from thinking about it to actually doing it. And that shift, that's everything, because thoughts alone don't build success. Plans don't push you forward. Action does. Even the smallest movement forward is a message to your mind that says, we're not stuck, we're moving. That message is powerful. It activates something in you that thinking never could. And once that movement begins, it becomes easier to take the next step, and the next, and the next. That's how momentum is born. Not from giant leaps, but from the courage to just keep stepping. Don't underestimate what happens when you move. You might think it's just a small task. You might think it's not enough to matter. But what matters most is that you didn't stay still. You didn't freeze. You didn't get trapped in overthinking, fear, or doubt. You moved. And every time you do that, even when it's just one thing, one email, one workout, one hard conversation, you start to break the resistance. You stop letting your circumstances control you. You take back control. Because the hardest part isn't running the race. It's taking that first step out the door when the excuses are loud and the motivation is low. You're not supposed to feel 100% every day. That's not the point. The point is to move anyway. To refuse to let how you feel determine what you do. Because when you stay in motion, even slowly, even imperfectly, you are building something that can't be stopped. Momentum isn't magic. It's mechanical. It's built through repetition, through refusal, through relentless forward pressure. You've got to make a habit of progress, not perfection. Not perfection. Progress. If you chase perfect, you'll never start. But if you chase movement, you'll eventually outrun the doubts that used to stop you. The truth is, nothing changes if nothing moves. You can have the best goals, the most powerful affirmations, the deepest desire, but if you don't act, it stays stuck in your head. But action, that's the spark, it's the fuel, it's the moment when potential becomes power. And here's the best part, momentum doesn't care how you feel. It just needs motion. It just needs effort. It doesn't need perfect conditions. It doesn't need motivation. It just needs you to start. You don't have to sprint. You just have to refuse to sit still. Some days you're going to wake up tired. Some days the vision will feel far away. Some days you'll question whether it's even worth it. And on those days, the most powerful thing you can do is just move. Do something, show up, take one step. Because movement changes your mind, it changes your energy, it tells your emotions. We don't follow you, we lead you. And that small move, it starts to snowball. Suddenly one task turns into two. One choice becomes a rhythm. And before you know it, you've created momentum that's carrying you past everything that used to hold you back. Think about a train. When it's sitting still, even a small block in front of it can keep it from moving. But once that train builds momentum, it can blast through concrete walls. Same with you. When you're stuck, everything feels heavy. Every decision feels like a mountain. But once you start building momentum, things begin to flow. You don't have to fight your own brain just to start. You've already started. You're in it. And when you're in it, you get stronger. You go faster. You rise. Momentum doesn't wait for motivation. Motivation is temporary. Momentum is trained. It's built when you consistently show up. When you do what needs to be done. Not when you feel like it, but because you made a commitment. You said, I'm going to keep moving no matter what. And that kind of motion, that kind of daily movement, it will make you unstoppable. Not because it's easy, but because it's automatic. Because now, even your worst days have forward progress. Even your setbacks can't reverse your drive. You've got something behind you now. Something pushing you forward. That's momentum. And don't you ever forget, it all started with one small move. One decision to stop waiting for the right time. One push to break the cycle of hesitation. That's what separates the ones who talk from the ones who rise. The ones who wait from the ones who win. Winners move. Doers move, believers move. Not always fast, not always loud, but always forward. You're not gonna feel like it every day. That's normal. But don't stop, don't sit still, don't freeze in the face of fear. Use motion to kill the doubt. Use action to silence the hesitation, even if it's a baby step taken. Because once you move, you change the energy. You disrupt the comfort zone, you start to build force. And the more you move, the harder it becomes to stop you. That's how momentum works. That's how breakthroughs begin. And it's all yours, if you just keep moving. Repetition beats talent because talent without consistency is wasted potential. It's not the most gifted that win, it's the most committed. You don't need to be born with it. You don't need the perfect start, the right connections, or even the most resources. What you need is the grit to keep showing up, the discipline to do it again and again until it becomes second nature. That's what separates winners from wishers. That's what separates those who watch from those who rise. Repetition is the grind. It's the muscle. It's the weapon that turns average into elite. You've seen it before. People with all the talent in the world who never go anywhere. Why? Because they rely on their gift. They lean on it like it's enough. But talent fades when it isn't sharpened. Skill gets dull when it isn't worked. You can have the edge. But if you don't use it, someone with less talent and more hunger is going to pass you. Because repetition builds mastery. Repetition builds momentum. Repetition builds identity. It's not flashy, but it's what works. Over time, the one who stays in the fight always ends up ahead of the one who just looked good at the start. You don't need to impress anybody with natural ability. You just need to outwork everybody who thought their talent was enough. That's the truth people don't want to hear. They want shortcuts. They want instant results. But greatness is never handed out. It's earned through thousands of unseen hours, through reps, through routine, through boring days that build unstoppable strength. Repetition doesn't ask if you're ready. It requires you to be consistent whether you're ready or not, whether you feel like it or not. Yeah. Whether you're celebrated or overlooked, that's how you win. You stay in it longer than anyone else. And let's be honest, repetition is hard. It's not exciting. It's not sexy. It doesn't feel glamorous. But that's exactly why it works. Because most people won't do it. Most people won't show up and do the same thing day after day, pushing their craft, their mind, and their discipline to another level. But if you can do it, if you can get up and run the play again, if you can make the call again, hit the gym again, study again, then you become different. You become rare because you've trained yourself to push past comfort and live in a zone where transformation happens. This is why repetition beats talent. Repetition builds skill, and skill multiplies results. You might not start as the best. That's fine. You might be overlooked at first. That's normal. But if you don't quit, if you keep swinging, eventually the results show up. Not because you had more, because you did more. You kept showing up when they stopped. You kept learning when they plateaued. You kept fighting when they coasted. And eventually all that effort stacks. It becomes a force they can't match. Not because you were born different, but because you trained differently. There's power in doing something so many times that it becomes who you are. You don't need motivation anymore. You got momentum. You don't need reminders. You got rhythm. That's what repetition does. It carves the skill into your DNA. It doesn't matter how hard the task is anymore. You've done it so many times that it feels automatic. And that's when people look at you and say, "You're so talented." But they never saw the grind. They never saw the hours. They never saw the reps. And that's fine, because you didn't do it for applause. You did it to grow. And here's the best part. Repetition isn't complicated. You don't need some big opportunity. You don't need to wait on someone's approval. You just need to do it again and again, again. Whatever it is, your craft, your health, your goals, you master it through repetition. You become confident through repetition. You stop overthinking because you trained your brain to trust your actions. That's when confidence kicks in. That's when performance elevates. Because repetition removes the doubt. It makes it normal. It makes it natural. And when something becomes natural, you don't hesitate. You dominate. This is how you go from average to exceptional. Because over time, repetition closes the gap. It turns the underdog into the champion. It takes someone with zero recognition and turns them into someone the world can't ignore. And it happens one rep at a time, one decision at a time, one small act repeated until it becomes greatness. So when you feel behind, When you think you're not as talented, when they overlook you, doubt you, or skip your name, don't get bitter. Get back to work. Get back to your reps. Get back to your process. Because you don't need to be the most gifted. You just need to be the one who never quits. Repetition will make sure you rise. It will harden you. It will sharpen you. And eventually it will crown you. Not because you were lucky, but because you never stopped. Breakthrough is buried in repetition because greatness doesn't show up with fanfare. It shows up after 1,000 quiet reps that no one applauded. The transformation you're chasing, the level you dream about, the results you lie awake thinking of, they're not in some new strategy or magic formula. They're in the next rep, the next grind. The next time you choose to go again when your body, your mind, and your emotions are begging you to stop. The one you're waiting for, it's not out there in the future. It's hiding in the rep you're about to skip. The task you're about to have to. The session you're thinking about bailing on. That's where the breakthrough lives. Right behind the wall of I'm tired, I'm bull, or this isn't working. Most people don't realize how close they are. They think it's not working because they don't see results yet. But what they don't know is that the seeds have been planted. The roots are growing underground. The pressure is building. The shift is happening silently. And just like with anything worth having, the breakthrough doesn't knock. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up for the one who stayed when it got hard. It shows up for the one who kept swinging when they couldn't see the scoreboard move. It shows up for the one who didn't flinch at the silence and the setbacks. This is the truth most people don't want to hear. Breakthroughs don't come on day one. Breakthroughs don't come on day one. They don't come after a few weeks of effort. They come after the reps, after the failure, after the plateaus, after the tears, after the part where most people throw in the towel. That's the cost of greatness. You gotta endure long enough to earn it, and repetition is the price. You don't strike gold by tapping the ground once. You dig. You dig for days. You dig when it hurts. You dig when your hands are raw. Because somewhere beneath you is the thing you were meant to find, but you'll never get there if you stop swinging before the strike. You think you're stuck. You're not stuck. You're sitting right next to your next level. But you can't feel it because repetition feels the same. It's not exciting. It doesn't scream progress. But it's building something under the surface that can't be rushed. Every rep is a crack in the wall. Every rep is pressure against resistance. Every time you show up, you're wearing down what's been holding you back. And then one day it gives. One day the wall breaks. One day what looked impossible finally snaps. And everyone says it happened overnight, but it didn't. It was buried in the reps. In the days you showed up tired. In the nights you kept going. In the moments no one saw, but you refused to fold. That's the difference. It's not about who has the most talent or the biggest dream. It's about who has the most resolve. Who's willing to keep going when it doesn't feel good anymore? Who's willing to embrace the boring, the painful, the slow grind of repetition that creates the foundation for everything else? You want a breakthrough? Then master your routine. Dominate your discipline. Become so consistent that your breakthrough has no choice but to show up. Because you refuse to quit before it arrives. You've got to trust the process. Not because it's easy, but because it's real. You've got to believe that what you're doing, every small move, every repeated action, is building something bigger than you can see right now. It's the compounding power of effort. And the problem is, we live in a world that worships speed. Everyone wants fast. Everyone wants shortcuts. But real breakthroughs don't play by those rules. They respect the grinder, the one who hones the craft, the one who shows up in silence and puts in the work whether it's noticed or not. You're going to get to a point where everything inside you says, stop. You'll feel like it's not worth it, like no one cares, like you're spinning your wheels. But right there is where most people lose, and right there is where you can win. Because if you can keep going just a little longer, one more rep, one more day, one more painful moment, you will break through. You will rise. Not because you were lucky, but because you refused to leave before your reward showed up. Repetition is where your breakthrough is hiding. You don't have to go looking for some new secret. You don't have to reinvent yourself every month. What you have to do is stay in the fight. Stay in the process. Keep doing what works, even when it's no longer fun. Keep trusting the work, even when it doesn't feel like it's paying off, because it is. Hasima, every time you say yes to the grind, you get one step closer to the moment that changes everything. So don't quit on the next rep. Don't check out before the shift. Don't let doubt talk you out of the progress you've already made. Breakthrough isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of time, pressure, and refusal to stop. It's buried in the repetition, and if you want it bad enough, you'll keep digging until it's yours. When it's boring, you're getting better, and that's the part no one wants to talk about. See, everybody wants the highlight reel. Everybody wants the spotlight, the applause, the big moments that scream success. But the truth is, mastery doesn't live in the spotlight, it lives in the shadows. It lives in the early mornings, in the quiet nights, in the hours where it's just you and the work. No fanfare, no excitement, just the grind. That's where champions are built, not when it's thrilling, but when it's boring. And most people can't handle that part, because boredom feels like stagnation. It feels like you're not moving, like nothing's changing. But what's really happening is growth beneath the surface. You're refining, you're sharpening, you're stretching your discipline and your endurance. That's what growth looks like at the highest level. It doesn't look like fireworks. It looks like repetition. It looks like routine. And if you can stay focused when it's boring, you unlock the next level that most people never reach. You've got to get this in your mind. The ones who win didn't just out-talent the rest. They outlasted them. They showed up when the passion wore off. They executed when the feelings faded. They stuck with the plan when it became monotonous. That's where the gap forms. That's where the distance is made. Most people get excited in the beginning. They love the energy of a starting. They love posting about it, talking about it, dreaming about it. But then, when the newness fades and the routine sets in, they bail. They lose focus. They chase something more exciting. But if you want to be great, you've got to fall in love with the boring. You've got to train yourself to crave the process more than the results. Because the process is where the change happens. The process is where skill is built, where confidence is forged, and where character is tested. You don't master anything by doing it once. You master it by doing it so many times that it becomes instinct. And you only get there by staying in the work, especially when it's not thrilling anymore. You think the best athletes, artists, speakers, or entrepreneurs are always inspired. They're not. What they are is consistent. They didn't become excellent because they felt good every day. They became excellent because they honored their craft every day. Whether it felt good or not, whether it was exciting or not, because they understood something simple but powerful. Boring is the path. Boring is the edge. Boring is where you separate from average. There's something powerful about repetition, about doing the same workout, the same drill, the same habit over and over again. It teaches your mind discipline. It teaches your body control. It teaches your spirit resilience. That's how you grow into someone who's not just talented, but dangerous. Because now you're not driven by feelings, you're driven by purpose, by commitment, by routine. And when that happens, nothing can stop you. Not fatigue, not distraction, not boredom. The boring days are the test. They're the filter. They're where most people check out and go chase the next shiny thing. But if you can stick to the process during those days, if you can lock in when everyone else is distracted, you're building something far more powerful than motivation. You're building grit. You're building reputation. You're building the kind of foundation that doesn't shake when life gets hard. Because here's the truth. The results you want, the transformation you crave, it's on the other side of boredom. You've got to outlast the dull days to reap the reward. You've got to keep showing up when it feels like nothing's changing. Because that's when everything is changing. Not on the outside yet, but inside you. You're developing the mental muscle that champions are made of. The kind that doesn't need hype to perform. The kind that doesn't need external energy to keep going. The kind that's built for the long haul. Most people want success to feel good. But the ones who get it know that success feels like routine, like grind, like repetition. It feels like going to work when your friends are out, when your body is tired, when your mind wants to escape. That's when it counts most. That's when your future is being written, not during the exciting days, but during the silent ones, the ones no one sees. The ones that test your patience and your belief. And the truth is, if you can win in the boring, you can win anywhere. If you can stay disciplined when it's quiet, you'll dominate when it's loud. Because the boring teaches you how to show up for yourself. It teaches you how to stay steady, how to stay focused, how to lock in on the vision even when the path feels slow. And that mindset, that's a weapon. That's what makes you different. So next time the process feels boring, Don't back off, double down. Don't complain. Lean in, because the boredom is a sign that you've moved past the beginner stage, a sign that you're getting closer to mastery, a sign that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And if you can keep going through that, if you can stay locked in when the excitement's gone, you're already ahead of 99% of people. You're getting better, quietly, consistently, powerfully. Discipline over drama, because your future depends on your focus, not your feelings. Feelings are unstable. One day you feel like a champion. The next day you don't even want to get out of bed. One moment you're fired up and ready to take on the world. Then the next, you're looking for a way out. That's life. That's being human. But the people who win, they don't let emotions decide their actions. They don't let temporary moods rewrite permanent goals. They don't chase drama. They choose discipline every single time. Because discipline is the anchor. It's the one thing that keeps you grounded when everything around you feels chaotic. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if the motivation's gone. It doesn't care if you had a bad day or you're not feeling it. Discipline says, we show up anyway. Discipline says, we don't bow to emotions, we lead them. That's where power comes from. Not from waiting for the perfect day, but from creating consistent days through focused action. Drama wants attention. It wants to pull you off track. It wants you to spiral, to get caught in distractions, arguments, excuses, breakdowns. But discipline keeps your eyes on the goal. Discipline says, I'm not here to react. I'm here to build. And that's the shift most people never make. They stay stuck in cycles because they respond to everything emotionally. They let one bad moment derail the whole day. One setback becomes a spiral. One distraction turns into a detour. And they call it burnout. But what it really is lack of focus. You want to build something great. Then you got to train your mind to follow through, regardless of how it feels. You got to be able to say, I don't care how I feel. I've got work to do. That's not being cold. It's being committed. That's not being heartless. It's being locked in. You've got to be able to move forward even when your emotions are screaming for you to stop. Because feelings will lie to you. Discipline tells the truth. This is why discipline beats talent. Why discipline beats hype. Because hype fades. Feelings fade. Even confidence fades. But discipline, the routine, the standard, the commitment, that stays. It holds the line when your energy crashes. It keeps pushing when your ego gets bruised. Discipline is your defense drama. It keeps you from overreacting, overthinking, and overcomplicating what needs to be simple. Show up and do the work. It's not about being robotic. It's about being responsible. You made a decision. You set a goal. You created a standard. Now, stick to it, even when it's inconvenient. Even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's boring. Because the difference between the ones who talk and the ones who rise is simple. The talkers want it when it feels good. The doers want it no matter what. Drama wants to pull you into chaos. Discipline builds structure. Drama wants you to complain. Discipline reminds you to execute. Drama wants you to wait until you will feel like it. Discipline makes sure you never fall behind while waiting. So ask yourself, are you chasing drama or choosing discipline? Because every day you wake up, you've got that choice. And don't confuse motivation for discipline. Motivation is the spark, sure, but sparks fade fast. You don't need more inspiration. You need repetition. You need to become the kind of person who doesn't flinch when life gets loud. Who doesn't get thrown off by every distraction? Who doesn't break down every time things get hard? You need to be the person who keeps showing up, keeps building, keeps rising, quietly, consistently, powerfully. Because that's where greatness is found. Not in the noise, but in the stillness. Not in the hype, but in the habit. The people who make it, the people you look up to, they're not the most emotional. They're the most committed. They've learned how to put the mission before the mood. They've learned how to control the only thing they truly can, their actions, their effort, their attitude. Every single day, you want to grow? Start doing what you said you'd do, especially on the days you don't want to do it. You want to elevate? Start treating your emotions like data, not direction. Feel it, process it, and then move forward. Discipline isn't about denying emotion. It's about not letting emotion dictate your destiny. You feel tired? Keep going. You feel doubt? Show up anyway. You feel bored? Push through. That's where power lives. That's how winners are made. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't reward drama, it rewards delivery, results, consistency, and the people who show up no matter what. They keep stacking wins, they keep building momentum, they keep evolving even in silence, especially in silence. So if you're serious about leveling up, cut the drama, cut the excuses, cut the mood swings and emotional roller coasters. Replace them with commitment, with clarity, with action. Let the world do what it does. Let your feelings come and go. But you stay locked in. You stay disciplined. You show up. You work. You grow. You keep doing it powerfully.